Hello, welcome to today's collective general reading. As always, remember to use your own discernment, join with attention, and allow the message to be received with an open heart. A quantum reminder, we are speaking through symbol and story here, so please do not rely on tarot readings for factual evidence. You are always encouraged to do your own research, especially when engaging with strangers on the internet. Now, if you haven't seen yesterday's reading, you might want to go and watch that for some context. I'm building from there. This crossroads where you are, this Two of Swords that we have in between the King and Queen of Swords. This newfound confidence in your communication, but what it is that you have to say, what you want to put out into the world. This Six of Swords is your energy right now. This calm, cool, collected, confident. And you've turned on its head. How do I say? What it is that you're going to put into the world, your approach to what it is to manifest something, how what you are giving birth to is shaping up inside reality, how you want to deliver your message. There's a shift here, and I am getting it's coming through emotional regulation, and it's coming through a deeper sense of safety and of clarity of self. As I hear crow outside. Oh, High Priestess. Hello. So the core to this I'm getting, as we had the lovers on bottom, the core to this is this inner strength, this confidence in knowing what you know, and not for a purpose of proving, explaining, telling, foretelling. It's not necessarily for the knowledge inside you to be released into reality. Perhaps this is the Hangman into Two of Pentacles energy. Yes. You now have the solemn security. And when I say solemn, I don't mean like in a sad way. I mean gray, fog, quiet, silence, confidence. Not the humdrum of the city. And if you live in an urban area, that's fine. This is talking about inner. Because regardless of where you are located outwardly, this is your inner coordinates. And getting this evolution of self. Spirit, what message do you have for the person embodying this energy? Queen of Swords, Queen of Spires. I see this shape, and to me this is always the queen, but I understand it's also the nest. Setting up shop, potentially. And this blue cascade of ice, I'll say, high in the mountains. Oh, actually, because in this deck, the King of Spires is posting his flag in the ground because he's reached the top of the mountain, the pinnacle of his travel. And in the previous reading, I was talking about going along a mountain, and it's not about tenting or setting up camp at some point. It's about making each mountain into a molehill in terms of, it's approachable and possible and plausible. The plasticity with which you support divine belief within yourself. And here I'm getting, you've done this a million times. I'm seeing this actually as every time you've climbed this mountain, you have brought one stick with you. And so this is now you seeing the fruits of your labor. 5 of branches, 4 of stones, 9 of tides. So 5 of wands, 4 of pentacles, 9 of cups. You did have to hack down a few trees to make room for what it is that you are trying to stabilize, because you see where it is that you are going. You have had to make sacrifices along the way. And you don't have regret. You don't... What's the word? It's not coming to me. Because it's not about remorse, but it's another word that is related in that family. I'm not sure. But you are walking with recognition of why it is that you are here now and why you weren't here earlier. Yeah, the heat kicked on to that. Queen of branches. The Hermit. 10 of tides. So the Queen of branches here, it's interesting. The Queen of swords is deep within the mountains, and all that is present of humanity creation are the sticks that she has brought with her along the way, her treasures, her gathering. The Queen of branches, I don't know if she is the one that built this cottage, this cabin, and these stairs, but this is human made. Someone has been here before. I'm seeing the repetition of creation. And here we have the Hermit. It's interesting to have this next to the Queen of Spires, because the Queen of Spires is not hiding. She is resting as she is walking up the mountain, in opposition to this reflection, this mirror of, you have had to take the time to really hone in on what it is that you need, you want, you desire, you've planned. This isn't something that you've gone out and sought willy-nilly. Seeing these birds coming around this rainbow for the 10 of tides, the 10 of cups. See here, this is where you were aiming, and this is you arriving at the rainbow. But specifically with the birds curving, I'm getting moving with the wind. You are going in the direction where you want your sails to take flight. Interesting. I'm getting that as like the sails of a boat, but also sails with like finances of a business. You may not have your own business. It may be a side something. You may be starting a business. You may be changing or elevating something, but something about financial reward. And not necessarily reward in exchange for labor, reward to frequency. Where it's not actually a reward, it's just a match. It is an alignment. It's not about chasing it and trying to grab it. It's just being here. Strength. Temperance. I'm seeing here, look how far away we are from the mountains. There is peace here and there is chaos here, and you are in the middle. I'm getting this being divine feminine, this divine masculine. You are allowing strength to come in and become part of your core foundation, and you are not worried, you are not concerned with the chaos that's going on in the distance. You can see that it is technically coming towards you, but just because it's coming towards your direction does not mean it will reach you. You can be witness to chaos, and you can learn the lesson in that shift of energy, the redirect motion, but you don't need to be burned to learn the lesson. The world. So many mountain imagery, but I'm seeing this, perhaps it's not necessarily the same mountains, but it's a similar path. So this could be something to do with your ancestors. It could be to do with past lives. It could be just you've done this a million times and you're going to do it 1,000,001. You will continue going. But looking at, there is the path here of steps. I think you could compare this to the Great Wall of China, and not literally, but in terms of this giant gate. Meeting a gatekeeper. Reaching a new elevation. Do you see how this building is so much lighter, and the skyline here, there's just a breeze of orange. But getting yourself to new heights. And there you can see the before and after. There's something in this here. Perhaps it's a cave, perhaps it's just rocks, but I'm seeing it as a skull, as the two eyes of a skull. The memory of human. And also with that being physically bigger than any human skull has been, it's commemorating journeys taken. This does feel kind of short. Is there anything else that Spirit wants to share for those entering the crossroads? Okay. I think this is going to be reading from the book. Here we have the Elemental Oracle. And these cards are, I'm going to say, so slippery. Wow, I've never had that card before. On bottom we have 26, Transformation Pressure. This being the cover to the deck, I'm seeing as the beginning of a book, about to open to the first page. What came through and joined us is 32, Richness, Marine Life. So I'm going to read this. 32. Oh, I opened up to 33. I love when that happens. Fertility is yours. Your wishes will be granted. There is more than one way to find a solution to a problem. Adapt to the new. Word of power. Opulentium, Latin for richness. As a biome, the oceans are unmatched in richness and variety of life. It is estimated the oceans contain a total of 230,000 marine species, but this just scratches the surface. There are perhaps more than 2 million marine species yet to be classified. Marine life is vital to the health of the planet because the majority produce oxygen and sequester carbon, something we so desperately need in this time of man-made climate change. The oceans do indeed demand our respect, but I believe its creatures demand it even more. Even if they approach you out of curiosity, sea animals are wild and should not be pursued. They should be given all the space they need. It is worth remembering it is we who are visiting them, not the other way around. Should you ever go with an organized adventure or tour company, choose only those that strictly follow a code of practice that protects the animals and the sea itself, and the local laws and permissions of the area that you are diving or snorkeling in or interacting within. Element, water. That's actually interesting. And I have been using jellyfish recently for this fluidity. And seeing this whale here. So I'll tell a little story and then this will be the reading. I grew up on the ocean. And I was a child when this happened. So you're gonna have to forgive me that I don't have all the details of how this happened. There were some researchers, marine biologists, something, and they had been working with beluga whales. And there was a family that they had tagged, and this is what was told to me. Could be different, but this is what I received. Is that they tagged the mother, the father, and the baby, and it wasn't to harm them. It was to track them and see where they go and see their movements and blah 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 science observation things. And I think they had watched them for a few years, and then the mother and father's trackers stopped. So they didn't know if they had come off or fallen, or if they had gotten like eaten by a shark, if they had gotten poached by hunters. Like they really didn't know. It was somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. Their trackers just disappeared. And this baby beluga, I don't remember the time of year, but the harbor was not frozen, so it couldn't have been directly winter. But there was one specific time of year that this beluga would come back to the harbor every year where the research had been done, something to that extent. And I must have been maybe 5 or 6 years old. And I understand, given what was in the book, I understand that the beluga only made its way back to us because it had been, you could say, tampered with. And I'm going to take this as a lesson of sometimes things happen that shouldn't have been done, but we live in the reality where they already exist. It's already happened. That can't be taken back. And this beluga would come into harbor. And when I mean harbor, I mean nearly up to shore. And it was in the next community from mine. So maybe like a 40-minute drive. And you would just hear the belugas in town. And so they would take all us kids up to this town. And it was so close to shore because there was like a wharf off from the land, but then there was just like a boat you see when they take off in a chase in the movies, you know, like it was just a small little boat. Don't even know if it had an engine. There was a fisherman sitting in the boat and helped me as a little child go from wharf to boat. And then right next to the boat is this beluga whale. And I recognize that this is a unique experience and not everyone has been so close to a whale, but I pet it. And people who have had experiences with these large, majestic animals, whether on land or in water, there is a moment of transfer, is how I'll say it, in petting this beluga whale and having this whale look me in the eyes, and I'll say smile, because belugas are just so cute, and they're at least this one was so happy. And to just be a tiny child standing in a rickety boat from a very tiny plateau above water, I'll say, and petting this beluga that has been all over the Atlantic Ocean, all over. And a connection bridging. I've felt since that, and we're nearly 30 years out, but now having a connection with this animal spirit that moves freely in the ocean. Did this experience begin because researchers, humans, got involved in marine life and inserted themselves? Yes. Did I also have a spiritual moment petting a beluga whale as a young child? Yes. Multiple things can be true at once, and we hold the complexity for that. But the message that I'm getting is whatever hardships that you've experienced, whatever challenges you've had, whatever hurdle you recently got over, you can't just sit stuck on the fact that something bad happened, or that shouldn't have happened, or I don't like that that happened. I also don't like that researchers insert themselves, in animal spaces and then we exert control over them. I also see the complexity that exists within how that beluga found its way to shore. And given that that was the reality that I was within, I am so grateful that I had the opportunity to have a brief moment of connection with a whale. I've never forgotten that. And I think of that often as I'm feeling a scratching in my left hand. This itch for the divine. There are moments in our lives when we will be connected with spirit through animal, through other people, through nature, through energy entities around us. And perhaps all of the steps that lined up to get us to that place, perhaps there was harm there. Perhaps there was suffering, perhaps there was pain. That does not mean that you should not and cannot enjoy the beauty that comes along with your current reality. Okay. No wonder this message has been so calm. Whale energy. Okay. Thank you for watching this reading. If you found this interesting or anything here resonated with you, you can like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to hear from me more often. In the description, you will find a link to my Substack, which hosts the 444 Collective, which I'm operating as a virtual ecosystem where we can gather and have a bit more nuance and depth conversations talking about these things that we can't necessarily discuss on the wide open web. Stay tuned.